Hey guys, what is going on? So I just wanted to do a little video and talk to you about my experiences of what it is like to live paycheck to paycheck. As of right now, 30 million people have lost their jobs because of the pandemic that is happening here in America. And, I know a lot of people talk about that's a sacrifice we have to make to get this under control. There are so many other variables that go into that loss of income, that stability, that livelihood, that all of those things. And maybe you've never been in that position, so I just wanted to share with you my own experiences with what it is like to live paycheck to paycheck because you know, we can have a conversation about a lot of things, but the health effects or defects of losing your employment is beyond fathomable. People, the higher the unemployment rate, the higher the percentage goes up of people that commit suicide. The amount of people that have the likelihood of falling back into alcoholism or drug addiction and everything else like that. You can look at these studies, and for the 7 weeks that this pandemic has gone on, there has been 141% increase in all of those things. If you haven't seen it, I posted an article on Facebook, so if you get a chance to look at it. Otherwise, it's LinkedIn. It's this scientific research about what happens when people lose their jobs and how it affects them psychologically and mentally and all that other stuff. Is really worth the read. So basically what I want to talk to you about is not necessarily, it's about what's going on now and about the pandemic, and it's about people losing their jobs and everything else like that, but what it means to these people that have lost their jobs that were already living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that could mean a lot of things. It could mean that like you maybe have a lifestyle that you can't afford, that you do things that maybe whatever. But for some people, or most people, it's just a matter of getting by. All right, it's a matter of being able to put your food on your table, pay your bills on time, and live however that means. So for me, I have lived paycheck to paycheck at various stages of my life. When I was young, of course, you're so flippant. You're like, I'll just spend money on whatever. Who cares? I've traveled and spent every penny to my name. But there have been 2 periods of my life where living paycheck to paycheck have taken their toll. So the first time was when I got a divorce. And I needed to prove to myself that I could do it. I could do everything. I can work and maintain some sort of sanity. And to be fair, I got divorced in 2009, just a few months after the recession started. And gas prices skyrocketed to $4 a gallon. Food did the same. Everything just got to the point where it was barely affordable. And I was doing something that I love. I was teaching fitness classes and I was making a decent living, but I wasn't rolling in the money and everything. So for me, that living paycheck to paycheck, I mean, when you think about paycheck to paycheck, I was paying my rent, I was paying my car insurance, my car payment, my cell phone bill, my food, putting gas in my car, and I was barely having any other money, any other free money. So basically with that is that, what does that mean? For those of people that have experienced unemployment, to not have any money coming in, that has more of a devastating effect than going through divorce on your heart. They've done studies that it affects your heart so detrimentally that it actually, there's no recovering from it. But for living paycheck to paycheck, there's shame involved, there's sadness, there's anxiety, there's discomfort. There are so many different things, and you have it in your mind that if you just worked a little harder, you just cut corners or scraped or whatever, that somehow it would get easier. But the thing is that there are only so many hours in a week that someone can work to stay sane. There are only so many things that people can do when they are making a certain amount of money. And I think that a lot of people that are still lucky enough to have a paycheck right now, or people that have always worked in a position where they have a set salary and they know where their money's coming from and where is it going and everything else like that, it's different for everybody else that lives paycheck to paycheck, because you might know where your money's coming from, you might know how much you're making that set week, but it doesn't stop you from having other bills going out and everything else like that. So for me, when I got a divorce and I was living by myself again, I did everything that I could to keep a roof over my head and food in my belly, but there were so many days that I barely ate. I had $1 to my name, and I was like, ooh, maybe I can get a Portuguese roll. If I was lucky, I can get pizza and stuff, and you hide behind it because you think that maybe there's anything you can do to do better, to do more, to make more money and everything else like that. And then you just check your bank account balance. This is before cell phones where you had your apps and everything. So you call the bank and you hope to God that a certain payment doesn't get drafted from your account, so you don't get that $35 overdraft fee that banks are so very reluctant to return, even though they see that you don't have any money in your bank account. And so the reason I'm telling you this is that we don't talk about this stuff a lot. We don't talk about the money we make or what we do with this money and everything else like that. And then maybe if we learn just the small things about, credit scores, or, like, we can talk about the evils of capitalism all day long. And if you want to have another conversation about it, I would be happy to do so. I know it's a system in which is not very graceful towards so many people, but it's the only system we know right now. And until something better, until we all work towards a better future and a better financial future, emotional future, all that other stuff, it is the system we know. And we, the way I look at it is that you cannot expect people to be able to keep their heads above water when they have never been taught how to swim. So basically what I'm saying is that I know it's hard right now, and I know that we have no idea what's going on, or we do have an idea, and it's just we're getting this hodgepodge of information, everything. But just before you think to go after somebody because they want to return to their normal life, what is normal life, right? Keep in mind that they might have lost their jobs. They might be afraid that might not be able to feed their children. They might not be able to be able to keep a roof over their heads. They might have remembered what the recession of 2008 did, which, by the way, was brought on by government greed and negligence. So there's a pattern here that we're not breaking free of, and we're just subjecting ourselves to it. We keep on, it's defining craziness. We keep on doing the same thing, expecting a different result, but it doesn't happen. So maybe they remember what happened during the 2008 recession. Maybe they lost so many things. Maybe they lost their minds. They've lost their health. Like I said, the stress of living paycheck to paycheck is unbearable. There's that elation when you know that money goes into your account, and then you slowly see it disappear with every bill that you have to pay. And then I was lucky. When the recession hit and I was living paycheck to paycheck, I worked 2 jobs. So I was lucky enough that one job direct, I got a deposit, I got check 1 week, and then the next week I got another check. But that doesn't stop everything from being cyclical. It doesn't stop things from falling apart instead of falling into place. So like I'm saying, before we go after people and you just can't understand why they might want to return to normal, you have to understand that when you live paycheck to paycheck, and especially those people that live paycheck to paycheck and have since lost their jobs because of it, it is such an incredible toll on every aspect of your being, from your emotions to your, I mean, it's just beyond explanation. It's beyond comprehension, and you can't wrap your head around that. No matter how hard you try, there is only so many hours in the week that they're available to work before you lose your mind, before you lose your health, before everything gets compromised. So what I'm trying to say is that just before we react to so many things, take a step back. Work on that empathy, work on that understanding that, you know, you have these people that are like, oh, we're in the same boat. We're not in the same boat. We're maybe in the same storm, but you don't know what people go through in their lives. You don't know what fear they have, what anger they have, what responsibilities they have, what they've lost, what they have the potential of losing. And I know that we can minimize it, not minimize it, but, you know, just bring it into, like, you can lose your life, but there are so many other ways in a stressful situation for people to lose their lives. So rather than getting angry at people, with people for wanting to go back to things before this, you understand the things before this for them weren't necessarily great. They were just getting by. They were just making do. They, you know, maybe had 2 pennies to rub together, and they just want to have those pennies back because they might not have anything right now, and they might be afraid that they might never have anything else after that. And you can't fault them for wanting some kind of life when they feel as if they feel as if they have already been dealt a death sentence with this. Because that's what it feels like, living paycheck to paycheck. It feels like you are slowly dying. It feels like you can't find your feet. You can't get up. You can't breathe. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you scratch and try to crawl up. So, just remember that. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind that 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, that even if they're working full time and they're only receiving minimum wage, that there is not any housing in any major city that they could possibly afford on that, while paying their bills or living any kind of life. And, you know, like, everybody's like, you know, we have this opportunity to pull ourselves up from our bootstraps, or, you know, like, you know, we have that American dream, we have all these things, and some of that is not available to a lot of people. So they just try as they might. They don't have the same opportunities. They don't have the same luxuries or privilege that other people have. So basically what I'm saying is that it's really hard living paycheck to paycheck, and it is even harder to be unemployed. It is even more difficult to watch your whole life fall apart because there are some days that you have less than double digits in your bank account, and maybe that's even including the decimal points. So I think I just want to leave you with the idea that I've really noticed a lot of people just slowly losing their humanity, and this is hard for all of us, but stay human, stay kind. It might be all that we have left. It might be all that some have left. Take care of yourselves. I'll check in with you guys later.